Today, I'm going to show you how to shop your home. Alright, as you can see by this, I was realizing it was beginning to look a little, shall we say, cluttered a little bit. And I realized I had that guy up there. It's a tray that I bought probably 30 years ago at an estate sale. And I used it for a time as a tray to put my bar stuff on. Well, I'm not using it now, and it was sitting up there, and I thought it would be a pretty place for it, but I thought, why not utilize it here and kind of clean this up a little bit. Not that I'm going to clear out the area, but I'm just going to kind of tidy it up a little bit, make it probably a little more effective of a place to use. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's called shopping from your home. Now, many of you probably are wondering, what in the heck does shopping from your home mean? Well, for most people, it would be, I need so and so and such and such. I'll just go buy it. Well, if you think outside the box a little bit and realize you can utilize stuff that's within your home, just repurpose it. Many things can be repurposed for a lot of reasons. Because they're practical for more than just their intended purpose. Like, for instance, this is actually a flower pot from IKEA, and I figured it would be perfect for utilizing to put all my cooking utensils in, and that's what I bought it for, because I needed something like that, and that was perfect. And they came in multiple colors besides black and white. And I bought the yellow, and that was probably over 20 years ago, and it's been happily serving as my crock of sorts for that long. And it's still using, serving as a crock by, today's standards. So that's called shopping your home. And not a real example, but it's just an example of something that I bought whose purpose was to hold a plant and using it for something else, which is an option when you don't have anything at home to suit your need. But when you do, it's called shopping from your home. So check and see what you have first that you aren't using. I have another tray which is right over there on top of the microwave, and I'll reuse for something. I just haven't figured out what yet. And I may do a similar purpose. Now, if I redo the kitchen and get a chance to redo the kitchen, which there are some issues now that I'll get into in its own post, if we can hang on to the house and I can do it. I'd like to redo this kitchen and hopefully maybe have a second counter back over here where the refrigerator is, and put one tray on one side and one tray on the other for the things that I use on a day-to-day basis that I'd like to keep near the stove for a variety of reasons. But we'll see when we get to that point, if we get to that point. But meanwhile, I'm going to utilize that tray to kind of clean this up a little bit. So see how it goes. But that's called shopping from your home. It's when you pull out things that you aren't using and reuse it for something else within your home. And the beauty of it is, it doesn't cost you anything. You already have it, might as well use it for something else. So the first thing I'm going to do, actually what I'm going to do first, is I'm going to grab that and give it a quick wash because it's grody and sticky and whatever else. And so you can start, I can get it dried and then start getting it ready for the next piece, for the next purpose. Now this tray, based on the design, is probably from the 70s. Late 60s or 70s, and I bet you it's in the, what they would consider the mod style. These trays, these two, came from, were actually part of a desk set from a company called Poppin. I bought this sort of turquoise one at an art store in Seattle. And this one came from, I think, Marshall's 2020. And that little tray came from Fred Meyer, and it's just a little tray that I bought in the housewares area. It's great for putting the salt and pepper stuff on. This bowl, it's another one of those shop from the home type of things. I actually had this in a cupboard and I repurposed it for this. Alright, let's put this tray into place. I will also fix this, except I gotta get something to make this a little bit more stable so that I can put it away, can mount it. Not all of this is going to fit, most likely, but we'll see. I think we may put the butter in there. Oh, that's better. I can already tell it's going to be better. And what I will do is put one of these, this can be repurposed for spoon rest. But I can put this here and have a place to put all the spoons and things I'm going to be using for cooking. Now you see, that is what I was looking at, and I think that's looking a lot better, and I'm probably will fine-tune this as I go along. But that's how you shop for things in your kitchen. You take it from one location and you put it in another location and you repurpose it. Now I have something else. I have a bunch of these, which I'm not really using, but I keep them around for those times when you need to put something in larger quantities away. I bought farro yesterday because I wanted something that I can cook up and use as an alternative to beans for those times when I'm tired of beans or don't have any and want a fiber to go in my diet. This is perfect because I'm trying to go to utilize the Mediterranean style diet. From it's less a lifestyle, it's less a diet and more of a lifestyle, in that it's a longer term diet that you can eat and not worry. It's not focusing on the short term, which is ultimately weight loss, and do it without quickly and without exercise, which you know that's not going to sustain. So Mediterranean diet, and I'll get into this more, is more of what you eat, adding fiber, eating a lot more fruit and a lot more vegetables, more that kind of foods forward, less about trying to be vegan or vegetarian or restrictions, because there's little in the way of restrictions as far as you just want to limit how much red meat you eat, increase your fish, seafood intake, poultry intake, fruits and vegetable intake, and your fiber, dietary fiber intake, and less on emphasis on sweets. But it doesn't say you can't have it, unless of course it's a medical reason that you're going gluten-free. So the point here is, that's what the Mediterranean diet is all about, and that's what I'll be focusing in here shortly on another video. But I wanted to show you this because this is about purchasing from your home, shopping from your home for things you already have that you can reuse for other purposes because you aren't using them currently, and you might as well find another use for it somewhere else. Now I can take that tray and put it up there just to have as something for the top shelf. Meanwhile, I have a container for my farro, and I had to buy this in bulk at Winco Foods because I'm not finding it locally at my grocery store. Normally they do, but they haven't had it in a while, or at least I'm not finding it. So I'll get this labeled and I'll get instructions on how long to cook it, that kind of thing, and put it with it. Meanwhile, that's just another thing I'm adding to my diet on a day-to-day basis. Because legumes, all that kind of stuff, they add more fiber to your diet, and when you're eating things like pasta, you don't get that. You get a lot of carbs, but you don't necessarily get fiber and it's not necessarily the most filling thing, so you add other things to it to compensate. Anyway, that is that, and there you go. That's how you shop for your home, and that's already looking a lot better. And just having it so that there's a little bit more room for things to shift a little bit as I use them, I think might work just as well. And take it from there. Meanwhile, and also when it comes to cleaning the emptying the top, wipe it down really good. Just have to move one tray instead of 3 or 4. One tray plus a couple of in this. I bought this to as you can see, it corrals all the pepper that falls out of the grinders, and that was the only reason I bought that. Anywho, there you go. That's shopping from home, and I'll do more of this kind of thing as time and stuff allow. But meanwhile, I have to deal with the more short-term solutions first, and so we'll go from there. All right, got an addendum. This is actually 3 things that I shopped for my home. Yesterday I had an epiphany. I realized I had a shelf sitting out in the shed that I could repurpose. And I have this little red guy, which is a refrigerator set. Its twin is over there by the sink. And yes, that was shopped from the house as well. It's from all of that right up there. Basically, it's a refrigerator set that used to be real commonly used in homes back in the 50s or 40s and 50s. And what it was, you put your thing in it, you put the lid on it, and you stick it in the refrigerator. Well, it's not airtight, so it's not good for freezing, but they did make a version that was. But this is just a refrigerator set. You can put things in it and stick it in the refrigerator for whatever reason, for leftovers, whatever. And I had this lamp. I've been looking for a way to add this lamp to my above the stove so I can have a light see by when I'm at the stove. And I was looking for maybe putting a block of wood in, something like that. Then I was seeing an older episode of an episode of a channel on YouTube called Anti-Chef. Jamie and his wife at the time were living in Toronto in an old apartment. It had a stove very similar to this, with a little shelf about where mine is. As you can see here, it's sitting up kind of high up. And that gave me the idea and reminded me that I still had this little shelf sitting in the garage. It had been, if you look, it was in my last apartment when I got a new stove. I didn't have a place to put the salt and the pepper grinders on top of the stove. So this shelf became the thing that I put in place. Anyhow, so I got it out and was able to use it to clamp the lamp to. At the same time, I pulled this little red dish down, and I keep it for my kosher salt. I'll run up to the store today and I'll get some table salt and put it in the jelly jar or the condiment jar and put that up there. But I've got to do one thing to the shelf. I need to put some kind of glue or something on the back side to keep it so that it's a little more stable. Right now it's just is sitting up there with a single dowel and no glue, no nothing else. So I'll get that fixed and we'll go from there. But as you can see, it makes cooking at the stove a lot more pleasant. Yeah, it looks kind of hokey with the cord hanging out, whatever. And I still need to fix that. But at least I shopped my house for a few more things. and have made a couple more improvements to the kitchen. It's a never-ending thing, just so you know. It's a never-ending thing. You'll always be finding a way to improve your kitchen, and if you can do it by shopping your house and not having to spend much of anything, all the better. Especially right now with funds being tight, that's the way to go. So anyhow, that's what I did yesterday, and now to go edit. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and if you want to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified. It'll do this channel a world of good, and I'll see you on the next